it was this time last year that a little girl named Alyssa and her mother were preparing to go to Chicago, preparing for a life-saving surgery. We thought you'd like to see how they're doing and why they are giving thanks today.
Turkey.
Turkey? What about pumpkin pie?
Pumpkin pie, too.
Turkey, dressing, pumpkin pie. The Smith family is having a more traditional Thanksgiving this year. Last year, little Alyssa and her mother Terry were about to make medical history.
It was an emotional roller coaster. You know, we felt very comfortable in what we were doing and very confident in the doctors, but just the difference a year makes is phenomenal.
1 year ago, Terry gave life to her daughter again. In a Chicago operating room, a portion of the mother's liver was removed and transplanted, replacing Alyssa's diseased liver, the first living donor liver transplant in the U.S. The road to recovery has been smooth. Alyssa, who's going on 3 now, has shown no signs of rejection, and liver function for both is pretty near normal.
We finally convinced her where she got her liver. Who did you get your liver from? Who's that?
You.
Where is your liver? Now, does Daddy have a liver? Does Ricky have a liver? Why?
That's a boy.
Because they're boys. She doesn't quite understand about the liver.
Alyssa is as active and rambunctious as any child. That's not taken for granted in this home. It's counted among the blessings. Is this what you anticipated?
No, it's only what we dreamed.
Yes,
Yeah, I think our whole perspective has changed.
yes, Jesus loves me.
Okay. Our life has returned to some semblance of normalcy, and for that we do give thanks.
After the Smiths' successful transplant, many more living donor transplants have been performed, saving more children's lives. You're about to meet a baby boy named Sage. He's much too young to talk, but does he ever have a story to tell? It's a story about organ transplants. For Sage, for thousands of children, a transplant is a chance of a lifetime. His is the face of innocence and wonder. This is Sage Rodriguez, 5 months old, and he is dying.
I was devastated.
To parents Ruben Rodriguez and Becky Cordeau, Sage means the world. Their world spins when doctors say Sage won't live much past his 2nd birthday. He must have a liver transplant.
Oh, I was numb. It was the furthest thing from my mind. I thought, oh, he's a little jaundiced. They'll do some blood tests and they'll tell me, you know, that they're going to give me some medication and I can take him home.
It's a long road home, one paved with heartache and hope. And here, one family's journey begins.
Oh, it scares me to death.
Sage's name is added to the list, already 2 football fields long. Any given day, nationwide, 25,000 people, 2,000 of them children, are waiting for transplants. Children usually need organs from other children so they'll fit better, but child donors are rare. Children just don't die that often from accidents or gunshot wounds. But child or adult, donors are in short supply. Jim Hayes runs the South Texas Organ Bank.
It doesn't matter what we do. I distribute tens of thousands of donor cards and brochures, and I talk to dozens of groups. We do all kinds of things. Nobody pays any attention to us because it ain't going to happen to them.
Okay, Sage, let's take a listen to your little heart.
It happens. Sage was born with liver disease. His liver will fail, and he needs a transplant while he's still healthy enough to withstand it.
I just keep telling myself, well, maybe he won't remember it. Won't remember all the blood tests and the operations and the tubes. And
Ruben and Becky want to do anything to help. All they can do is wait. Wait for the phone to ring.
I panic every time it rings.
Ruben wears a pager on the job. They must be reachable and ready. Their bags are packed. It may be weeks, months. They try to be hopeful. Truth is, they're scared.
What's your biggest fear in all this?
That he might not make it. But I'm hopeful. And the most important thing to me, though, is that he has a good quality of life, and that's the only way.
The parents of these kids know about waiting.
The wait was hard because I was always worried that maybe my pager wasn't on, or what if I was going to miss the phone call.
She got the call. Now Morgan has a healthy liver.
It was a Tuesday that we got the call.
The call that meant a new liver for Charlie.
She would be dead today without a transplant.
The success stories are many. Andy, a liver recipient, now plays like any 9-year-old. Kevin has a new heart. Josh, who was just an infant for his surgery. Drugs like cyclosporin have boosted the success rate dramatically. For liver transplants, it's now 85%. But that's if they make it to surgery. For many, the wait is fatal.
It's Becky. Guess what? Yes?
For Sage, the wait is over. The call comes 6 p.m. on a cold December Tuesday.
I'm sweating. It's what, 32 degrees outside?
I'm going to Houston.
Houston. That's where the transplant team is. So is the donor. They have 6 hours to get there.
Watch, this will be the only time it probably will never close. I feel like a chicken with my head cut off. That's the only way I can put it. Nervous, excited. The anticipation is over at least. But now this brings on a whole new realm of worries and stresses.
Months of waiting has come to this, an emotional jumble.
What'd I do with my wallet?
I love you.
I love you too, honey.
Bye, Sage.
You don't even know what's happening to you, baby, do you?
Tonight at 10 and tomorrow we follow Sage to Houston. And there, Becky and Ruben share their hopes and their fears at an intensely personal time, 1 hour before surgery. And we'll find out what it's like to be the other family, the parents of a donor child. That's coming up tonight and tomorrow. Certainly no parent wants to think about this, but if your child died, would you donate his organs to help another child? You're about to meet a couple who made that decision. But first, we continue our special report, picking up where we left off. A baby named Sage is on his way to Houston for a liver transplant, for a chance of a lifetime.
The midnight air is biting cold outside Houston's Herman Hospital, inside the air of relief. It's been 6 hours since the phone call.
The next thing she said was, well, we have a donor. She was so calm about it. I thought she'd call and say, it's time, come on, let's go.
Sage is now in his baggy hospital gown. His daddy, Ruben Rodriguez, still in his dirty work clothes. He and Becky left in such a rush. 2 a.m. Sage doesn't much care for the nurse. As he is checked, the donor liver is also being checked. Good news, it is okay. Surgery in the morning.
Did you sleep last night?
Not really.
Exhaustion will have to wait. Sage's transplant is 1 hour away.
I don't think it's going to hit me till they take him away.
Are you more optimistic or more pessimistic?
I'm truly confused. It hurts me to see him, you know, look so puzzled as to why all this is happening.
Really don't know what to feel or what to expect. Sit up straight.
I'm finding it hard to be happy about it, although I am. But I know that somewhere there's probably somebody that isn't too happy. So I'm kind of mixed up about that.
That somebody is the family of the donor. Somebody's child is dead.
Here he is.
David. 4 years ago, David died from SIDS. The home videos awakened the awful pain.
I was just at a total loss to figure out what's the meaning of this. Why is this happening to us?
Damon and Patty Britton know about being the other family.
A lot of people consider about organ donation, they think, well, it would be me first, and you never dream that it's going to be your children.
In their grief, they donated David's organs. Although his liver recipient didn't make it, his corneas gave sight. His heart gave life to a baby boy in Virginia.
To bury your child and to have their organs there and not donated, it would almost be like burying somebody else's child. You take away their hope.
We get emotional here.
Jim Hayes of the Organ Bank gets choked up when talking about donors.
We have to be compassionate. We have to deal with the family, but we also have to deal with that sense of urgency.
Urgency because livers and pancreas can only be preserved in ice for up to 24 hours. Hearts, 6 hours.
So grieving families are approached about organ donation at a difficult time, but laws require that somebody at the hospital ask. And a recent law says if family cannot be reached and asked within 4 hours, then the medical examiner can okay organ removal. But that is rarely, if ever, done.
What do you know about the donor?
Nothing.
Organ donation is anonymous, although families can write letters through a third party. Becky and Ruben learned Sage's donor was a 2-year-old boy. Feelings of gratitude mix with guilt.
They must truly be special people to want to go through something like this and save another child.
To save this child, and it is time.
You'll be fine. We'll take good care of it.
Tonight at 10 and again tomorrow, Sage's surgery and the outcome. We'll also look at medical technology that's making more and more transplants possible. It was 1953 when a surgeon performed the first organ transplant. Medical know-how has come a long way since, but one thing hasn't changed. Organ donors are in short supply. Today I conclude my report, our journey with a baby named Sage. It's his chance of a lifetime. Let's pick up where we left off, at the operating room door.
I'm optimistic that it's the right time and it's going to have a good result.
I try to tell myself that everything's going to be all right. And I have to be realistic. Odds are going to be odds.
It's a fine line between a mother's hope and a father's fear. Ruben Rodriguez and Becky Cordeaux hold on to both as their son Sage is wheeled away.
For the next several hours, Sage's tiny body and young life will be in the hands of this medical team. With this surgical gamble, they have a chance to dramatically change the odds.
Suddenly, the dramatic seems undramatic. This ice chest holds Sage's very life. One team gets to work precisely cutting the donor liver to fit an 8-month-old body. As the transplant begins, the concentration level is as high as the thermostat. It's uncomfortably warm, for Sage's sake. The hours wear on. As the surgeon removes Sage's liver, it is brown, visibly diseased, and with human hands, they give Sage a new liver, a new chance. 7 hours later, Sage is out of surgery.
Everything went real fine, okay? There were really no problems with it.
Thanks again.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Take care.
Becky and Ruben just want to see their baby.
Okay. You doing okay? Did you expect to see all this?
So many tubes, such a helpless child. The next 24 hours are critical. Pioneering medicine is making more transplants possible. Alyssa Smith is smiling proof. 3 years ago, she received part of her mother's liver, the first living donor transplant in the U.S.
Occasionally I kind of get overwhelmed with the emotion of it, you know, that we did have the best possible scenario, but that there was the opposite side that could have happened.
Alyssa's not overwhelmed. She simply explains her old liver was yucky. As for future technology,
I think liver transplant is going to change drastically. There is current research where we will only transplant the liver cells and not necessarily transplant any piece of liver.
Dr. Eduardo Ibarguen explains cells would be taken from a living donor and then transfused into the recipient's bloodstream. The healthy cells would go where needed and get to work, making an organ transplant unnecessary in many cases.
I think we're close.
That's the future. This is now. Sage's new liver is not functioning. His name soars to the top of the national list, any size, any blood type. Sage must have another transplant within 24 hours. Again, Becky and Ruben wait. It's not that no one dies during those 24 hours, many do, but there are no donors. Not one. 4 days later, Sage Rodriguez dies.
Any regrets about anything?
No, not really. I think that Sage, I know Sage had a good life and he was happy, and we had him for as long as we could.
And here, one family's journey ends.
It can happen to anyone. Organ donation is so very important because there's hundreds of not just children but adults that are waiting for donors, and all it takes is a yes, I'll do it.
They did. Sage was also a cornea donor. His big brown eyes are now giving sight to 2 children, giving the chance of a lifetime.
Everything he did was beautiful.
Finally, a personal note. When I first met Ruben and Becky and Sage last summer, none of us ever expected this story to end this way. It is their hope that their anguish can open your eyes and that you will consider being a donor. It is their hope that their son Sage touched people's lives. Becky and Ruben, he did. We'll be back.
For richer, for poor, for better, for worse.
Jackie and Joel, a love story that ends with better, but begins...
That's my fiance in the church.
On a dark and stormy night.
There's a frightened young lady with her bridesmaids in that church.
The bride stranded at the altar, just 3 blocks, but suddenly a river away.
I'm thinking, okay, God, we've been together for 9 years, and on the one day we're supposed to get married, this happens.
Floodwater is rising fast, so is fear.
They can't tell us where they are. They don't know where they are.
Once the water started rising and it started getting dark, my biggest fear was that they weren't going to see us in the dark.
I started walking down, through the water, wading through the water. And when I got about chest deep, the current started to push me.
He's going to get a boat.
Went and got us a boat.
We came from the bridge and the barricades over there. We couldn't get the boat in over there. Yeah.
Current too strong.
Joe, be careful, Joe.
Oh, that's so sweet. I have to marry this man, so.
A rescue raft brings the little bridesmaids to safety.
He's still down there. He's still down there.
But Joel is still frantic to see his bride. Rescuers advise against using the boat.
Just give us a chance. I would just like to know where she is. Is she safe? Y'all can't even tell me that.
Help, help. We're over here. By the time we left out of the church, it was about waist deep.
Here comes the bride, floating down the aisle.
Jackie! That's my wife. Get the hell with that.
Better for worse, in sickness and in health, till death do us part.
Daddy is a new American citizen, but he's not yet registered to vote. Marin Mendez says he wants to, because it's his right. 750,000 registered voters. Impressive. Or is it? Alejandro Avila's born in 1882. Ova Smith, an active voter at age 96. A lady we want to meet.
She was a nice lady, but I don't think, that she would vote, because she's dead, I think.
She's not alone.
I'm trying to locate Maria de Hoyos.
She's not right here. She's deceased.
Her mother died 6 years ago. Abelardo Diaz, registered voter, dead and buried 14 years ago. Turns out many of Bexar County's registered voters can be found here, the cemetery.
I am looking for John Alvarado.
He doesn't live there anymore.
Oh, okay.
John Alvarado passed away.
Marie Phipps.
He's been dead for about 4 years.
I have no idea who that person is, and I've been here for about 27 years.
Oh, she's deceased. That was my grandmother.
He's been gone
for a number of years.
20 years.
Active voter.
He's dead.
About
10 years.
10 years.
Oh, he's been dead for a long time.
Oh, really?
Doubtful we'll find the woman who lives here, the home dilapidated, the voter deceased. William Cacknup's house is now a flower shop.
He died in 75, but he registered to vote in 76?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
And when we try to find Anatolio Herrera, born in 1902,
His address doesn't even exist. It's now a tortilla factory parking lot. Dead weight on the voter rolls opens the door to cheaters because in Texas, you don't need proof of ID to vote.
It seems simple to say, well, you just pull them out.
Sylvia Romo recently took charge of voter registration. She inherited a big backlog. The health district provides a list of recently deceased every month. It's huge, 700-800 names.
We get a computer printout, hard copy, and we have to manually go through each one.
She'd like to find a high-tech way of cleansing the voter rolls. Marin Mendez cannot vote tomorrow. The man who used to live in his house can. He's registered. He's also deceased. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
So I voted by mail. That'd be the first time.
Harry Fisher is of age to vote by mail.
It's real nice. I don't have to fight all these lines and everything.
Computer records show Fisher and more than 1,000 District 1 voters cast ballots by mail May 3rd. Councilman Roger Flores won. Nancy Alanis lost by 212 votes. She's suing Flores, contesting the election.
What do you say to people who say, Nancy, you're a sore loser?
The soreness is in the system that is filled with voter fraud.
Serious claims. So we went knocking on the doors of senior citizens.
Do you recall voting in that election?
No, I didn't this year. I didn't vote in it. I was too sick and I didn't.
I did not, because I didn't like the party.
But you didn't vote by mail then?
No.
Okay.
I got a ballot too late.
I did not vote in the last election. I was going through some terrible things, and I just could not get it together.
Yet these records show they voted by mail.
Did you vote by mail?
No.
You didn't vote by mail?
No, what they put it.
But this says they voted by mail and in person.
Well, I would remember if I voted twice.
And there's George Malachek by mail.
Early voting began April 14th. He died April 13th. We wanted to verify the computer records and made open records requests. Denied because of the court case. And Harry Fisher, he voted early, and according to records, often.
No, that's twice. You can't do that. No.
Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
I was just going east on Durango Street, and Santa Claus ran the red light.
What we have here is hit and run and one astonished victim.
You're sure it was Santa Claus?
Yes, it was. He had the uniform on.
Now uniforms are investigating.
I think we're going to get Santa.
Witnesses say that traffic light was as red as Rudolph's nose and Santa ran the light. That's when the other car plowed into Santa, sending him spinning.
I heard the bang, I turned around and looked.
Jumping the curb, he says Santa took out this parking lot fence. Santa's presence, not exactly what we're used to. The witness says Santa coasted to a stop.
Did he get out?
He gets out, and then we're going, hell, it's Santa Claus. And
he says Santa rubbed his legs, scratched his head, and then took off, flying. He wanted to detain him, but one problem.
I'm already on the bad boy list this year. I didn't want to rub Santa wrong,
What was he driving?
About a 78 white Cadillac.
No reindeer?
No reindeer. It was definitely a big sled, though.
This piece of his sled he left behind.
I don't know. I think it might have been an imposter.
One more thing. Police have his plate, and they know he'll be around.
I think we're going to get Santa.
Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News. Daddy went to war.
Lift your feet up. There we go. Good boy.
Now he may be a casualty. Little Cedric is 3 years old, conceived when his father, Army combat medic Steve Miller, returned from the Persian Gulf.
I was a soldier, and I accept the fact that I have to go into certain areas, and it might be hazardous to me, to bring it home to my wife and my child. That's not fair.
Cedric, you having fun?
To meet Cedric is to question fair. Born with an extra chromosome, he's missing an eye and an ear. It's called Goldenhar syndrome. He was born with water on his brain, his windpipe and esophagus connected, and his heart on the wrong side. This tiny body has endured 9 surgeries so far. Steve and his wife Bianca have no chromosomal defects. Their daughter Larissa is perfectly healthy. So are Cedric's problems linked to the Gulf War?
Intuitively, I believe myself truly in my heart, yes, to me there's no question.
Consider the golden heart syndrome. It's extremely rare, but becoming less so.
I think when we talked last, were there 3 cases?
There were 3.
Now there are 8.
The numbers are hard to ignore. The Millers say they know of some 200 children with birth defects or chronic illnesses. The common denominator, mommy or daddy, was a Gulf War veteran. Michael is one of several sick children born to vets at Fort Bragg. He has a rare muscular disorder. His father is proud to have served to preserve freedom.
But my children right now, from what I'm being told, may never live to see those freedoms.
Matthew Sullivan did not. He died of liver cancer. Logan Harris was stillborn 11 months after Daddy came home. Michael Ayers died of a heart defect. His daddy fought in the Gulf. His mother fights for answers.
It still upsets me now. It was all for these babies, for these little innocent children who had absolutely no choice in this.
Her nickname is Amazing Grace. Her scar, evidence of a heart deformity so severe doctors had said, let her die. In January, she did.
These parents are convinced that it's got to be related to the war. They're convinced of that. Do you agree with them?
I do not doubt that one bit.
Congressman Frank Tejeda is pushing for assistance and answers. In Mississippi, at least 13 children born to vets of a reserve unit have severe birth defects, but the government concluded the frequency of the defects was no higher than the general population.
That does not answer the question, does it?
Not for Bianca and Steve Miller, and not for Cedric.
Like the other day, Cedric took Band-Aids and he put over one eye on all the dolls in Larissa's room. You know, and that was kind of hard to deal with because you really start realizing that he's different.
Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
This is the heart of the damage, and it is horrendous. Here in the town of Moore, it's in a world of hurt.
I can't even tell which one it is. That's my truck right there.
Despair runs deep, destruction wide. So many have lost so much.
We joined hands, all 11 of us there in that cellar last night after that had gone over.
The brick crumbled, the roof collapsed, and they dug their way out with bare hands. All up and down this street, people heard the warnings. They huddled in their closets and bathrooms, and when it was over, they emerged to this. Hell a half-mile wide. Trees uprooted, cars upended, lives inside out.
Houses just crumbled, caved in, roofs gone, walls gone, lives gone.
Wind up to 260 miles an hour. A funnel of fury did this. Entire blocks of houses obliterated. At Applejack's daycare, they salvaged toys and count blessings. Just 1 hour before the tornado struck, 82 children had played inside. 81-year-old Mildred Yingling looks at this and gives thanks. She wrote it out inside her closet, her pet chihuahua in her arms.
I wasn't afraid because I knew the Lord was going to take care of me. And if I died, that was the way He intended for me to go.
As you can see, the National Guard is on the scene controlling access as to who gets in and out. Now, there are thousands of displaced people, many of them staying with relatives. Others are being put up in shelters. Electricity has been a major problem throughout the day. There are still some areas without power. This is truly a disaster area. I have more on this disaster coming up on the Night Beat at 10. We're live in Moore, Oklahoma. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News. Their home video is incredible, and so is their story. The tornado just a couple of blocks away. These two San Antonio missionaries bravely grabbed up all the neighbors they could and ran.
I was trying to point. The tornado was right there.
It was so wide that you couldn't see either side of it.
30 seconds after latching the cellar door, Greg and Michelle McClanahan feel the horrendous roar.
We could look through those pipes in the top and see the debris just everywhere. Oh, my God.
Oh. Heart pounding, hands trembling. Greg captures on home video the first eerie moments after the storm.
Oh.
It is still quiet chaos.
Is everybody okay in your house?
Signs of life, a crying girl and her dog.
Come on.
I don't know what to do with Kitty and he can't get out.
We'll bring him out.
Just moments earlier, life here was normal. Now it's surreal. Houses shredded. The silence is haunting.
Is anybody in here?
Greg searches for trapped neighbors. These images are unreal. Look at this car, impaled by splintered boards. The picture Greg will never forget, emerging from underground.
When I opened the cellar door, that man was standing there dazed by the refrigerator. And he was just standing there, just dazed.
The McClenahans' trip home had been delayed last Monday. They were not supposed to be here. Or maybe they were. Why do you think you were here?
To help people,
Just two more heroes of the storm. In Midwest City, Oklahoma, Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
KSAT 12 News.
It's all about money and drugs, whatever else. The only way I can see staying alive is keep playing the game. Kill to get in, die to get out.
Kill to get in, die to get out. Words as cold as the Mexican Mafia's reputation.
The gang is blamed for last summer's mass murder on West French and many more.
To make sense of what police and FBI call an organized crime machine, our I-Team reporter Marilyn Moritz went inside prison walls.
It is a brotherhood behind bars.
There's a lot of comradeship there. You always got somebody to turn to. I mean, the gang becomes your family. How many families, gonna go out and kill for you, you know what I'm saying?
These hands have killed. He won't show his face because he's out of the gang and traitors die.
I got family in the Mexican Mafia.
Mexican Mafia, or La M, was born in the 80s. Inmates banded for protection from sodomy and predators. It has evolved to a secretive subculture.
You won't see prison gang graffiti out in the community. You won't see prison gang members wearing, colors. They don't want that attention.
Still, the Texas prison system has so far identified 1,400 La M members inside. These prison walls may hold men, but they don't confine La M. The Mexican Mafia is more than just a gang. It is an enterprise.
Nothing to do with the Mexican Mafia?
None whatsoever.
Ex-cons run the streets, the cities. The Mafia is structured, military-like. Robe is a reputed captain.
They don't tell you till you're there.
Pancake, lieutenant. Beaver, alleged general. Superiors give the orders. Experts say regimen means a more efficient business. A business with a bottom line.
Bottom line is you're in for life. You do what you're told. If you don't do it, you get killed. That's the bottom line. Whatever's in that Constitution, that's what you're going to live by.
The Constitution boldly declares we will traffic in drugs, assassination, prostitution, robbery, sports, arms, and in anything we can imagine. Controlling drug trafficking is the main source of revenue.
Yeah, get your competition out the way, jack them, do whatever you got to do.
He says they hijack dealers by imposing a street tax. The dime profits the brotherhood.
When you get out of prison, you're going to get out without nothing. You get out to go report to somebody, to whoever's running that city, wherever you're going. And when you get there, they'll front you drugs, get you on your feet.
In this underworld, cash flows. So does blood. 5 people took shotgun blasts to the head at West French Place last summer. Police say a hijacking gone bad. And the price of internal disrespect is death. The order goes out, throats are slashed, bodies dumped. The message is sent.
This can happen to you. You screw up.
The clandestine crime is toward one goal, advancement of the Mexican Mafia. Prison gang experts say it's not unlike the mob.
Their ultimate goal is to get to the point where they have enough money and enough control that they can then turn and try to buy respectable or legitimate businesses and run those.
Despite prison efforts to control it, like reading mail, La M finds ways. This card looks innocent enough.
When you take this off, then you have a written code behind there, which you then have to try to break.
They should have stopped it 10, 15 years ago, before it started spilling over the walls and getting out of hands. They're not going to stop it.
It's too late?
It's too late.
Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News. May 22nd, the night the winds crucified Saragosa.
It looks like my sister.
30 people were dead, 122 injured. It was a night for shedding blood. And a morning for shedding tears. The town lay in ruins. Their adobe houses had been simple, even paltry, but they were all they had. They couldn't go home, so they wandered through what seemed a valley of death.
The Lord is my shepherd, there is nothing I shall want.
Por los siglos de los siglos.
Amen. Hallelujah.
At the mass funeral, the predominantly Hispanic and Catholic people drew strength from each other and their God. They buried their mothers, brothers, and babies, but refused even then to bury Saragosa.
It is going to be rebuilt because everybody, it's like a family all together here. And I'm pretty sure everybody's going to stay here together and rebuild this town again.
As they vowed to rebuild, 2 statues were perched on the altar, symbols of an unbreakable faith. In the tornado, the thick walls of the church had crumbled. The fragile statues had not.
Those 2 statues of Jesus and Joseph will be enshrined here at what was and will be the town's Catholic church. And the diocese has plans to rebuild the church bigger and grander than before, right here on the same foundation of concrete and faith.
But houses have come first. After 6 months, Saragosa is dotted with tiny wood-framed houses, houses surrounded by remnants and reminders. Victims and volunteers are also rebuilding the community center, this time cement, and with a basement, and with a tornado warning siren. The old community center is where most of the town was gathered for a preschool graduation when the walls came crashing down. Rudy Martinez's father was to have given the commencement speech. The next morning, while he lay in the hospital, Rudy searched for the house where he grew up. His past was gone. His family's future, uncertain.
Being an agricultural community, I said, well, will it be rebuilt? And I'd say, well, not likely to, my grandparents are 80-some-odd-year-old, both of them, what have they got? Will they come back? Can they start over?
I already know this place. It's mine, and I can rebuild here.
6 months later, on the same spot where his son had spoken to me about rebuilding, Thomas Martinez was. Why come back here?
Well, we live here. Our roots are here, and we come back here to the same place we are.
As for that graduation speech, the topic was to have been beginnings. The children laugh and play here again. Manuela's back has healed. Adrian brags he was in the hospital longer.
20 days.
And he shows off his visible scars. They say they like their new house, but liked the old one better. They can't explain why.
My mom and my 2 sisters, that they died.
He says they live next door. Their mother, Juanita, 14-year-old Evelyn, and 2-year-old Elsa. People here say Saragosa died May 22, 1987, but they also believe in resurrection. The chase is on.
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
For a fugitive.
Right down at McKay Street. That thing was gonna go right at my car, man. Like, dang. Oh, I've been chasing it for about 30 minutes now.
From the packing yard.
See the jumper? He jumped over a couple of cars out here. Several fences already.
And he holds up temporarily at this home. Tough for a bull to hide these days. This guy might want to take stock before it takes him. It's San Antonio, Pamplona style.
They say it might jump. Yeah, Kyle's crazy though. Then now we got an excitement for the day.
Try to keep any calls from getting here and cause an accident. That city water board guy with that pickup truck, he has a rope and they can put it on him.
Lady, you need to get up here with this rope. Didn't stop at the red light and just kept on going.
And going. Police managed to divert the big old boy from the interstate and into an old warehouse.
Stubborn bull, though.
Stubborn and hot. Time for some shade.
Everybody just keep everybody away from it. No screaming or whatever, no nothing, and he'll probably stay.
Oh, yeah?
That ain't a guarantee.
Okay, cowboys, time to take this bull by the horns. Get a rope and a tranquilizer dart. bullseye. Operation BS, that's Bovine Stampede, is a success.
If no one got hurt, don't you think that's successful?
No toreadors needed now, not for this bulldozer. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.